Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point on AFR Talk. Great to have you on board with us. I want to welcome to our decision maker line a special guest. Fred Karger is a candidate for the office of President of the United States. A lot of folks may not be aware of that, but he is still in the race. Fred Karger, welcome to Focal Point with Bryan Fischer.
Hey, thank you, Brian. It's great to be on your show.
Well, Fred, it's interesting that you are homosexual activist. You are involved in the homosexual lifestyle yourself, and yet you're running for president under the Republican banner. Most people would find that kind of odd.
It is a bit of an oxymoron, but I've been in the Republican Party my whole life. I've worked for 9 presidential campaigns, including Presidents Reagan and Ford and George H.W. Bush, and I'm happy to do it. I'm honored. I'm the first openly gay candidate, as you mentioned, of either major political party, and I have an important message to communicate for the country and the Republican Party and my community.
Now, let me ask you this question, Fred. I've read some reports that you may be suspending your campaign, or whatever the technical term is, in about a week. Is that true, or do you tend to campaign right into July?
Well, no, you are correct, Brian. I am ending my campaign. I'm in Utah now. I'm on the Utah ballot. It's Santorum, Gingrich, Ron Paul, Mitt Romney, and me.
And Fred Karger.
And Fred Karger Romney and I are the last 2 standing. So I've conceded to him. I've congratulated him. But I'm on this ballot. I was on the California ballot, my home state, 3 weeks ago, and it's a great honor to be on. I was put on here by the Republican state chairman, Thomas Wright. So it's an honor, and I'm campaigning, and I'm running commercials. We're premiering our new one tomorrow in Salt Lake City.
Now, will you be, because, we know that Newt Gingrich suspended his campaign so he could raise money to retire campaign debt. Rick Santorum suspended his campaign so he could raise money to retire campaign debt. Herman Cain suspended his campaign, didn't terminate it, suspended it so he could raise money to retire debt. Are you going to suspend your campaign, or are you going to terminate it?
No suspending for me. I'm going to end my campaign on the 27th. I'm going to file my final FEC report next month. I have run this campaign on a shoestring, but doing everything the big campaigns do. I've never spent money on things I could not afford. I'm not the Newt Gingrich candidate with a $4.5 million debt, or Santorum with over $1 million. I think that's a terrible way you would balance our federal budget and straighten out our economy. So I will end my campaign. It's going to be nice in the black, as we have done with every filing, but I've been at this for 2.5 years, Brian. I was the first to start. New Hampshire, 26 trips, and Iowa, 15. I've been all over this great country, including Tupelo, and I'm very ready to go back to my retirement, but stay active in the political scene.
Now, let me ask you this, Fred. Why would a Republican want to vote for a homosexual activist in a presidential primary?
Well, I worked for Ronald Reagan for 7 years as a part of his political team, and he was my mentor. I learned so much from him, number one, about getting along. I was kind of a more moderate Republican, but he welcomed every one of us into the Republican Party and grew the Republican Party. But he brought this great spirit to the country, which Obama has failed on. He had told us he was going to turn the economy around, spend 2 years on it. He didn't. Reagan concentrated on the economy, lifted our spirits, and was able to get along with Democrats. And to me, that is a huge accomplishment and something we need to bring to government now. We have stagnation in Washington. We're not getting anything done, and people in politics, I think, are too self-serving. They're not doing what's best for this country.
Now, the GOP platform, talking here with Fred Karger, candidate for president in the Republican primary, be on the ballot in Utah this week. But Fred, the Republican Party platform is officially pro-family. It supports a federal marriage amendment. Marriage is union of one man, one woman. There's an official statement in there that we believe children need to be raised by a mom and a dad. What's your reaction to those parts of the Republican Party platform?
Well, we've got a 57-page Republican platform, which I would throw out about 50 pages of it and have a nice, short, concise 6 or 7-page platform that welcomes people. I think that's an offense to so many people, like President Reagan, who had a tremendous number of openly gay and lesbian staff members, George H.W. Bush, who certainly did, and even George W. Bush, who appointed ambassadors and high-level appointments. It's offensive. We should be, as a minority party, opening our doors to everyone who agrees with the basic principles of the Republican Party: smaller government, balancing the federal budget, entrepreneurship, personal empowerment, strong national defense, tough on law and order. The issues that can bring us together, I think. I live in California. I was shocked to find out when I checked the voter numbers going back there for that primary that the Republican Party has dropped by 2.5 percentage points in California. That is not the right direction for a party that's a minority party. So we need to open it up to younger people and to women and to others, and I think the party platform is a big mistake.
Well, I would respond, Fred, by saying, look, and it's an essential part of the Republican Party platform to be pro-family, to define marriage as one man, one woman, to be for the proposition that kids deserve and need to be raised by a mom and a dad, that's not incidental to the conservative movement, to the conservative platform, that's an essential part of what it means to be a conservative. And, Fred, you're probably aware of this recent study that was done by Mark Regnerus at the University of Texas. He's not a part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. And he went through all of the problems that are associated with same-sex parenting, the pathologies that they're detecting in children that are raised in same-sex households, including an astonishing 23% of them are subject to sexual molestation compared to 2% of the general population. And so when you read that, the study by a social researcher at a prestigious university like University of Texas, I think the average person looking at that say, I am not sure that it's a smart thing to put kids in same-sex households. Maybe they really do belong, like the Republican Party officially says, in a home where they're raised by a mom and a dad who are married to each other.
Well, this world is changing. We don't have the families with mom and dads everywhere with the 7 kids, and they're blended families. They're divorced. They're the friends I have, and I just would argue that's a bogus study. It's been discredited in many circles, and you know how studies work. You can come up with a lot of different numbers and things, but I know personally and have met thousands of couples who are desperate for children. I was, Brian. I couldn't do that. I'm 62 now. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I desperately wanted a family. All my friends were having kids, and my brother, and I am as pro-family as you'll find. Rick Santorum and I became buddies during the campaign, and we learned to agree on many things, including the importance of family. I'm very close to my family. So I just disagree that with you and others that I think that 2 moms and 2 dads can be a very supportive, wonderful, loving couple because they're very anxious to have kids. These are not mistakes. This is a lot of work to have children, to go through surrogacy or adoption, to do the things that same-sex couples need to do to have a family. And they're just trying to be like everyone else. That's all we want.
But, Fred, I think that's the problem. They cannot be like everyone else because fathers have something unique to contribute to the lives of children, and mothers have something unique to contribute to the lives of children. 2 dads can't do that. A dad can't be a mom, and a mom can't be a dad. I mean, you even have Yale professors, Yale medical personnel, doctors saying, look, kids need both dads and moms. They each have something unique to give to the life of a child, and there's a certain amount of emotional poverty in the life of a child who doesn't have both a mom and a dad feeding in to their lives. Quick reaction to that, then I want to move on.
Okay, well, I just firsthand, when I am with friends who are 2 dads or 2 moms, their kids are so well behaved. They're often together very long, unlike some same-sex couples who are from very, very difficult homes or single moms or single dads. This is a different world. We need to embrace everyone who wants to raise kids, and it's a challenge. I commend you. It's a very tough thing to do, and I commend anyone, gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, who wants to raise kids. I say go for it, be good, loving parents, and do the right thing.
Well, Fred, one other issue I want to talk about, I gave blood this morning, and that leads into what I want to talk with you about, and I think you and I are just going to have a difference of opinion on that. I find this study to be very credible. It's the most thorough study that's been done of the literature that's out there. It's Mark Regnerus at University of Texas, and he looks at 40 different outcomes. 40, I mean, that's a wide range of outcomes, and his assessment was that children raised in same-sex households fare more poorly in 25 out of those 40. So once again, it's not a matter of bias or prejudice or bigotry to say, look, we want the best possible environment for children, and the research is showing it's not in a same-sex household. And the other thing, Fred, you look at same-sex marriage, I mean, that's the highest endorsement that society can give to homosexual behavior. Now, Fred, I gave blood this morning, and they asked me 3 times, you're a male, they asked me 3 times if you've had sex with another male even one single solitary time since 1977. Because they cannot take, well, I answered no, I'm not, or I wouldn't have given blood. But the reason that restriction is there, even one time, one male having one sexual encounter with another male one time since 1977 represents too much of a threat to the nation's health and a threat to compromising the nation's blood supply, cannot do it. Prostitutes and intravenous drug abusers were the other 2 groups that just categorically cannot donate blood. So, Fred, and this is maybe the last thing we can kick around here, it seems to me you look at the medical evidence, CDC says 90% of the males that have contracted HIV/AIDS got it through either having sex with other males or through intravenous drug abuse. So homosexual behavior, at least as risky to human health as IV drug abuse. This does not seem to me like a behavior that we ought to be promoting, endorsing, sanctioning, providing special recognition for, or subsidizing in any way. Your reaction, got about a minute left.
Okay, the blood question really hits me close to home, of course. First of all, I lost so many close friends to HIV/AIDS in the 80s and 90s. I'm an O-negative blood donor of many, many years that was forced to stop giving blood. And it's a rare blood type, so they were very anxious for my blood. But because I have been with other men, I'm not allowed to give blood. I'm HIV negative. I have been. I practice the type of safe sex that's important and necessary. But it's discrimination of the highest order, I feel, because the blood supply is now very safe. There's systems in place to check our blood to make it safe. Who's to say that if a straight man had sex with a prostitute and gives blood, that he is not HIV positive? The system is safe. You should not discriminate against anybody. The Red Cross is always desperate for blood, particularly those of us with rare blood types. I think that's just an antiquated system, and we need to change it.
Our guest in our decision-maker line has been Fred Karger, Republican candidate for the office of presidency, running in the Republican primary. Beyond the ballot in Utah this week, will drop his campaign and concede to Mitt Romney next week. Fred, I want to thank you for taking time to come on with us. I think we've had a very cordial exchange here, which proves that it can be. Disagreement is not hatred. I find you to be a very courteous and civil individual. I've enjoyed our chat despite our differences, and I want to thank you for taking the risk to come on this program.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Brian.
Fred Karger. God bless you, my friend. That's Fred Karger, candidate for the office of the presidency. Focal Point, AFR Talk. We'll be right back with Mark Krikorian, Center for Immigration Studies. Stay with us.